Alright, let me give you a little tour here. I've got it up off of it was designed to fit up over this railing right here, which I just painted black because it was way too light with the LED lights I got up underneath the hutch here. But as you can see, it's kind of designed to fit up over that, so you're probably going to have to design it to your space to fit over or around or up against whatever it is you want to put it on. But let's start with the base here. I basically just framed this out. I've got a shelf right here. It's about, I don't know, 12 inches up off the ground. Can't remember how high I put that. It's up to your discretion. But I made these shelves removable so I could get to whatever's underneath. I've got a power conditioner under there for each, for my equipment and for my lights that I don't have installed yet. Up underneath here, I've got a switch which goes to my lights. There's a couple outlets on the ceiling right there, and my bar, and another bar. All my lights are gonna go. And then there's another switch right here, which turns on all my equipment. Which is gonna turn on all my LEDs. See, I've got LEDs up in here, and LEDs up in here, which is underneath there. I also have LEDs on the hutch. I got those disconnected right now because I need to put some different ones up there. The ones I got in there pretty solid in place, so I need to just put another strip and just hook up that strip and scrap the other ones because I'm only getting light up to about here, so I need to change the position of my LEDs. But my LED controls I got going in that little terminal strip right there. That power strip right there is what this switch feeds. So I got that long power strip right there. I got that at Harbor Freight for like 20 bucks. But yeah, that little terminal strip right there, I've got a Cat 5 cable going to it. Well, I've got power feeding it, jumpering over, positive, negative, positive, negative. A Cat 5 wire coming over to my control box comes through my little wire keeper right there and up into my closet, and comes to this, which is an HP laptop lid that was no good. So I took the lid from the back of the screen and I built this little box right here, and I've got all my controls coming up into here, and they wire into this. These are just some switches and stuff I got from work. Some old equipment they're gonna throw away, so I'm kind of a scavenger. I always steal stuff off of things that are going in the dumpster anyway, and they don't really mind. But I converted this closet right here into a smaller closet and got the urinal in here. But yeah, I just built this little wall in here and framed it out and everything. And I ran oh, there's my wife's Shiwi. It's a little piss funnel, so she can use a urinal too. But I got this switch right here, which is rigged to, oh, I don't have my console power on. Where's that? It's rigged to my console power, so an LED light strip comes on in here when you flip the switch. So when somebody, I didn't want to put a full regular light in here, so when I got all the lights going and everything, somebody comes in here to piss, they flood the room with regular light, and everybody starts scrambling, looking for a rock to hide under. But as far as the construction of the cabinet itself, or my console itself, basically all I did was I framed it out. I've got a 2x4 obviously in the front and the back, which I'll show you in some other pictures. But 2x4, 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 2x4. I used the table saw to cut them to, you know, taking into consideration the thickness of the Luan that I used, which is I'm sure you're familiar with Luan. If not, it's a real smooth finished plywood basically. taking the thickness of that into consideration, I cut it to the height of my turntable. So you can kind of see, oh, yeah, there you go. You can kind of see where I got the 2x4s going right here, and I know I've got pictures that have this displayed a little bit better. And then I've got the support 2x4s going across, which is what my turntable feet are sitting on. I can't really see it, but yeah. But that's the base of that. And then I've got my hutch right here. Basically, I use 2x12s for the sides, and I screwed them. Where are they at? Right here. That's my 2x12 right there. That's in the illustration, one illustration I showed. I'll note which one that is. As a matter of fact, it is. Where are we at? Right here. That's a 2x12 I cut to basically I measured that out and cut that exactly to fit over my my railing here. But if you go that route with the 2x12, you'll measure it and cut it to suit your needs. But so I made that's one solid piece right there. It screws in right here, and then this triangular piece right here is what's sticking up right here. I took some 2x4s and cut them along there, along the top and the bottom here, and cut them to the correct angles and everything, and just put glue on across the top of it. Just faced it all out real good, and yeah, I mean it's real simple and basic. As I drew all this, as I did all this, I took like this top piece right here, and after I framed it all out, I took this top piece right here, and I drew out exactly where everything was going to go, where all my holes were going to get cut, and I made sure to cut these just an 1/8 inch. I think it was an 1/8 inch bigger than the exact size of my turntable. That way I can put this little weather stripping down in here. And it's just a regular roll of weather stripping. I'm not sure where it's at right now. I'd show you, but it's just 1/8 inch thick weather stripping. No more than I think it's 3/16 wide, or maybe a quarter inch wide, maybe. But I put that all the way around to create a perfect seal, and it definitely was a real snug fit putting it in there. But when I originally cut this right here, what I did was I measured all that out and drew it, and I went ahead and made sure to put some lines right here down the middle of where my 2x4s were. That way, when I put everything together, I used my staple gun and stapled everything down directly. I made sure I was hitting my I was hitting wood, and I wasn't just putting a staple in there into nothing. And that also helped me cut this right here. Yeah, it's real hard to see, but I made sure that was cut right down the middle of the 2x4 right there. That way I've got support on both my little piece right here and the top of the console. But the hole for the mixer, I cut exactly the size, the inner diameter right here. The top of the mixer right here is sorry, I just got a message, a little bit distracting there. Where was I? Oh yeah, the top of this was maybe an 1/8 inch bigger than the base, so I was able to basically just drop it in, and it was a very exact cut that I had to make on this. And let me tell you how I made these cuts exact. I took let's see if I got one up here. I took one of them aluminum yardsticks, and I took 2 clamps, or vice clamps or whatever, and I clamped them into place right along my line right here. And then I took my, I've got a, what is it called, an oscillating saw. I don't know, it vibrates. It's like a plunge cutter. And it vibrates at like 10,000 RPM or something like that. And it's just a real small little vibration it does. And anyway, I drug it right across the, dang, I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm getting distracted. Sorry about that. I drug it right across the aluminum yardstick. And they kind of chewed up the yardstick a little bit, but hey, I mean, it was like $5 at Harbor Freight. I mean, I got a lot of my tools at Harbor Freight, and they work wonders. You know, I definitely did not spend a lot of money on this project. But as far as my artwork goes, basically I sanded all this real good. I had painted it with some black polyurethane that I bought online. Well, I ran out. So I sanded it down real good because I kind of messed up the finish. It got some moisture and stuff in it and wrinkled up real bad. So I sanded it down. It made it real smooth. And it was a good base to sand on because it kind of gave me a good smooth working surface. I mean, the Luan was smooth already, but I mean the putting the polyurethane on there, sanding that down, I mean, it just made it smooth as glass. So I went over it with glow in the dark paint. This paint was made by Glidden. Gliddon or En. It was a Disney paint. It was a Disney glow in the dark, and it took, God, I had to have taken 20 coats because this stuff was thin. But I painted it all on there. I just covered the areas I wanted to put the artwork on, and just covered it solid. And what I did was I went over it with masking tape, completely solid with masking tape. And I used a ruler and measured all my stuff out, and I drew it all out, drew all my lines all nice and neat. And I went back to the razor blade and hand cut everything. A lot of the straight lines, I'd use a straight edge, you know, that aluminum yardstick. I actually cut one in an 18-inch section off with a cutting tool, and you know, ground it down, made sure it was smooth so I didn't get any cuts or anything like that in any of the edges. But I used that to kind of run my razor blade across, so I got a nice straight cut. And then I'd peel up all the excess in between here and peel all that up and throw it away, and I was left with this design right here. And I screwed up. I used black latex paint. I went over it with black latex paint. If I'd used water-based, I'd have been so much better off. I used water-based, well, I painted that with the black latex, and the white's actually water-based on that. And basically what I did was I peeled up the masking tape, and with latex paint, it wanted to be like a rubber, and it wanted to peel everything up around it. So I had to actually go around and trim again with the razor blade, so that it didn't peel up all my paint around. This one, it just came right up. But what's up?
Chickens to Foster.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, I did that, and it left me with my design right here. Everything was black, and I had my glow in the dark showing through. So that's when I started. I went over it with like 3 or 4 coats of polyurethane, and then I kind of sanded it down because I had a lot of rough edges right here, and I was afraid that, you know, those were going to wear, and those were going to, you know, I'm setting beers here, I'm going to catch one of them edges, and that rubbery paint was just going to start peeling up and, you know, break through the polyurethane. So I sanded it down a little bit. I started sanding into the paint some. You know, that rubbery paint, you know, especially when it's kind of fresh, it doesn't want to sand real well. So I said, you know what, screw this. I had to have put a dozen coats of polyurethane on because the paint was real bumpy too. It was not flat and smooth. I said, you know, I'm going to put a bunch of coats on here, and then I'm going to sand it down. That way everything's nice and smooth and all that. Well, that screwed me up. That was a really poor decision because I put so much polyurethane on there. For some reason, it blocks the UV rays. This was supposed to glow in the black light. It was supposed to be like its own light source, like a friggin' neon sign, because that's the way it was before I put the polyurethane on. And I instead, the polyurethane kind of reflected the UV rays, and it just looked like kind of greenish tan paint. Is all it looked like. I mean, it's still kind of thick right here, and that's all it looked like. It just looked like paint. It didn't glow very well. And then I almost screwed it up trying to save it because I sanded it way down, and I sanded it down to where I sanded through some of the paint in some spots. You can't really tell. I mean, I guess you can kind of tell right here where I sanded through. It's a little bumpy right there. I had to touch it up. But I sanded it all the way down, and I put like 2 or 3 coats. I put 2 coats on and then sanded it again just to kind of smooth it out a bit because there was some, I don't know, it wasn't looking right. And then I ended up having to put like 2 more coats on, and that's what I ended up with on here. But as far as like getting all these edges just right, I'm sure you know how to do all that if you're into woodworking and all that. But if not, basically I measured it and I made sure I was overhanging just a little bit. And that plunge cutter, I've got a half moon shaped saw blade for it. I would just bring that right along the edge and make sure it's cut nice and even. And then I once I stapled everything down and everything was nice and tight on here, and I took that little jitterbug sander and just sanded the corner. Just kind of went over it and kind of motioned like this, and I sanded that corner. And sorry, I'm got a little bit of cold right now. But you know, all my corners and everything turned out pretty seamless. But that's basically it in a nutshell. I'll see what else I can put together on this. I've got all my pictures and everything. If I've got time, I might type something up. I'm not sure yet. But hope you enjoy.